What's going on, guys? Big Time 110 here. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Pixel 5G, and this is my review. So, without further ado, let's get into it, guys. Feel free to pause the video at this point to check out the spec. The colors you could choose from are sorta sage and just black. I chose sorta sage because it was something different. As you can see, it has a nice texture to it, but I don't know if Google chose to cut the right corners, because first impressions when you first hold the phone for the first time, you notice that it feels really cheap and plasticky. And that's just because Google decided to use a plastic resin to cover the phone so that the wireless charging and the antennas will work. That plastic resin also gives the phone a grippy feel, as it doesn't feel too slippery. The phone itself is very thin and small. I just wish that they had an XL version this time around, because to me this is not the ideal size. Taking a closer look at the phone here, we can see that we have the power button and the volume rocker on the right side. And right at the bottom we do have a USB-C port and what appears to be two holes for one bottom firing speaker. And right on the left side we do have your SIM tray. And if we go to the top, we do have another microphone here. Moving on to the back here, we can see that we have the capacitive hardware fingerprint reader. Why they couldn't go with an in-display fingerprint, that I will never know, since a lot of other phones have done it and kept the cost low. Moving on to the display, guys, here we have an OLED 90Hz with HDR10 Plus certified. It's a 1080p display with a 19.59 ratio with a 432 ppi density, and it comes with a Gorilla Glass 6, so make sure you don't drop it. Now, since you're rocking the latest Android 11, the phone comes with a lot of new features such as the screen record, the VPN by Google One, nearby share, and a lot of other stuff that we could go into detail later. Now, I gotta give credit to Google for the screen they chose here. The OLED is very nice, it's very colorful, vivid. The only drawback is the sound. Although we do have dual stereo speakers, if you happen to cover one bottom firing speaker, you lose sound. That other speaker on the earpiece is behind the screen. It doesn't really do it justice. But take a look at what I mean. Yeah, covering that speaker there will cover almost all the audio. The other speaker is behind the screen, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. One of the things that I was more concerned about was the performance of the 765 chip that Google decided to go with instead of the 865. So one thing I decided was that I would run the 3DS Citra emulator on the Pixel 5 just to see how it would perform. Since I know this is a hard emulator, a lot of other phones, even high-end phones, have problem emulating this 3DS emulator and running it correctly. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and run a couple of games so we could see how the emulator performs, and we'll be adjusting the settings on the fly to see if that helps. Okay, notice how we are kind of slowing down, and the frames per second here are like 42, and it kind of dips and it goes up. So we're going to be adjusting the settings here, and we're going to be tuning it down a notch. All right. Okay, so let's go to internal resolution and lower it to 2. That will help performance. Right off the bat, you can see that the frames per second increase, the game seems to be less laggy, it seems to perform very well, and the visuals are still pretty good. They're not that bad. Now here's our last example. This game is running at 4 times the internal resolution, and as you can see, it's really slowing down, and the frames per second are really going down. Look at that, 7 frames per second. Now let's go ahead and change the settings here real quick, and let's lower down our resolution, and we're gonna go slow. Let's go with 3 and see how that affects the game. We can immediately see that the frames have doubled from 16 to like 30 something, and they're fluctuating, and they're around that same 30 frames per second, but the speed is going up. Now the frames are going up, so let's see if we can do some more tuning to get it working correctly, or at least better. still struggling, but not bad, but we can do better. So let's go ahead and go to internal resolution and lower it to 2, because I think that seems to be the magic number for the Pixel 5G. As you can see, it feels more fluid, the animations are more better, and it looks still really good. It's playable. So if you were hoping to do some gaming or you even run some emulators, you're in luck, because although you would need to tweak some of the settings, I saw every other emulator running really good. That includes the 64, the Super Nintendo, the Dreamcast, PlayStation, and even the GameCube emulator was running pretty good. This one was the hardest one to emulate, so I really wanted to test this one out, and you saw the performance. With some tweaking, it's playable. You probably get through some games like this. Would I recommend it? That's up to you to decide. Okay, moving on to the camera now. Now, just so you know, I'm not a professional. So all I did was just go take some simple photos, take a little snippet of a video, and that was it. I didn't really go into details or pro mode or anything like that. So here are some of those samples. Now, while I will agree that the Pixel 5 takes great pictures and photos, it's all due to Google's AI photo magic that it does behind the scenes, because the Pixel itself has a slow shutter. And what does that mean? Well, if you're taking pictures of your kids or your pets, you're gonna get a lot of blurry pictures. Trust me. And that's due to the 765 slow chip that it comes with. But if you spend a second or two, you will get great results. The video, I think it's pretty good. Not the best that I've seen, but it's decent. Now, when it comes to battery, the Pixel 5 is a beast. This phone will last you all day, even under heavy usage like I do. I was getting at least 6.5 hours of screen on time. Now, one of the new features the Pixel 5 has is battery share, which is the same thing as reverse wireless from Samsung. And I tried this feature out on the Pixel 5, but it wouldn't work for me. As you can see, I have my Qi enabled mouse, and I'm gonna turn on battery share on the Pixel, turn it around, and I'm gonna put my mouse on top to see if it would charge it. But no matter how I tried, it didn't want to work. So I just simply gave up. And maybe I think that it only works with the Pixel Buds, but I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that. When it came to quality, nobody that I spoke to complained about it. I didn't have a problem either. Every call was crystal clear. Just like LTE and 5G, they all seem to work pretty good depending on your area. Now guys, would I recommend this phone to you guys? You know, it's a hard sell, because on one hand we have the OnePlus and the Samsung S20 Fan Edition, and we have this one. If I had to choose, I would tell you, if you want a pure Android experience, go with the OnePlus. If you want a lot of features, almost a flagship, go with the Fan Edition. I think if you won't care more about video and camera and you don't mind a little bit less performance, then go with the Pixel. I think you won't be disappointed. But for me, I would have to choose a different phone. So there you have it, guys. That was quite a long video, but guys, thanks for everything. Thanks so much for all the likes. Thanks so much for all the subscribers. I really appreciate everything. And guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.